Hello and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland. Here we are again, end of a decent week. So we should have some happy panellists. Before we go to the panellists, let's introduce the button monkey. Since he's had his electric wheelchair, there's no more steamy piss flaps. Danny, how are you?
I've only used it the once and I nearly fucking died. I don't know, you lot going outside every day. I'm all right, thanks. You?
Yeah, not too bad. So, when you go into public toilets nowadays, the electric one, there's no more wheeling through the wee.
I was only at Highbury. I only ever did it once. I went to the cinema the other day. Would you believe it? I went out. The new Harry Potter thingy, Madarky Malok, whatever it's called.
Did you enjoy it?
It was bloody brilliant. Went to Cambridge Cinema, the view. Yeah,
cost
wonderful.
You a couple of quid, I heard.
Oh, the whole day cost me about 230 quid. I think some did better out of it than others. Fuckers, I was mugged off.
Did she enjoy it?
I didn't even have a drink. Yes, she did. She loved it.
That's all that matters, isn't it? Stop moaning.
Yeah, she got a job now. She fucking pay for me.
Oh,
did I just hear a cheeky trump? I think I did.
I'm not sure what that was in the background, but that's dodgy. Somebody better check themselves.
Get on with it.
Right, okay. Here we go. All the way from Poland, it's the Lord Hillwood. Stevie, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. Not too bad. There's the snow that we had last week starting to melt. It's warmed up a little bit, i.e. it's not -10, it's -4. I've got the windows shut, so we'll have no interference in the Warsaw Fire Department opposite, who are usually out and about as some wretches set their flat alight during the podcast. So we should be free of sirens this evening. Hurrah!
Nice change. Does that often happen in Poland? People just setting their own flats alight?
I think it's a consequences of one, crap wiring, and second, coming home lashed up and deciding to put some Polish ravioli, aka pierogi, in the frying pan, then passing out in the front room in the armchair whilst the kitchen flames up.
We've all done that. We've all done that.
Well, probably not with the pierogi, but we've all had an incineration, let's put it that way.
When the fire brigade are outside and you look at somebody else's kitchen thinking, yeah, I may have put on a bit high. It normally ends badly. It normally ends badly. But you good, pal? You enjoyed this week's football?
Yeah, loved it. Been really enjoyable. And even last night, sitting there pissing myself laughing at Spurs descending into the no hope league and becoming thirds yet again. Fucking splendid business. They're still in hiding at the moment after the Chelsea game. They were bad enough after Derby. One saw me coming down the road opposite the Intercontinental Hotel. He actually crossed the road to avoid me, the fucker.
Oh, nice.
Still got abused.
Good man. Shouting abuse across the road always works. Okay, right. Next on, we have the big man himself. It's Geoff Arsenal. How are you, G?
I'm not too bad, Jace. How are you, sir?
I'm not too bad, pal. I'm not too bad. I'm kicking back, chatting with the boys.
What's the weather like in Wales? Is it raining?
It was raining this morning. It's bloody warm today. It's like It's like 10, 12 degrees here. What the hell is going on?
Different class, mate. So hot. I turned the heating off today. I did.
Honestly, it's the Costa del bloody Cymru. It's great.
It's not really got the same ring to it, mate. I've got to be honest with you.
Mate, you just go down the Gower and you'll see what life is like. Then, yeah, it's superb. You can't beat it anywhere in the world. But it doesn't have the joys of the Arsenal. That's the only thing. That's the
you're right.
only drawback. The only drawback to being Welsh is that you've got to travel up to the smoke for it. So. Hey ho. You had a good week, pal?
Yeah, bang on, mate. Thank God. Touch wood. Had a fantastic week. Listen, the Arsenal win. What more do you want?
It's not bad, is it? It's not been bad. It's not been bad.
Plenty of goals.
I tell you what, fucking hell. They can't stop scoring. It's been exciting. It's been fun. It's been the sort of week we needed for a while.
Spot on.
Superb. Okay, last but not least. He's the man who puts kinky into Indy Chris's boots. It's John Welsh.
You all right, Jace?
I'm very well, thanks, mate. Looking forward to having you on this week. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. I just sent my letter off to Father Christmas, hoping for some Miracle Grow for the beard.
Miracle Grow for the beard? I thought you'd want a pair of boots like Chris.
I don't think I could pull them off, seriously. I'm tall enough anyway. It's only because he's so short. It's the only reason he wears them.
All my life, when he posted those on Twitter, it was like a field day, wasn't it? It was so much fun. Like I haven't enjoyed a post like that since he said Mikel Arteta would do a job against WBA.
They are.
Bringing Arteta.
Oh, poor Mikel. But he's fucked off to Man City. He's a
I've had
fucker.
a couple of moments of inspiration, Jace.
Go on.
The song, These Boots Are Made for Walking.
Oh, we
dedicate that to Chris. And then the name of the show, Ozil and Sanchez's boots aren't made for walking.
Or we'll work on the name of the show, but maybe that might be the end music, mate. That might be the end.
A bastard pair of boots, didn't they? Them ones. Eh?
Oh, you won't find
what was he thinking of when he posted them?
To be fair, okay, his dress sense is, let's say, unique.
Questionable.
Okay.
Has he got a motorbike?
Motorbike.
Yeah. How can he be a motorbike? He's a fucking midget. He's got one of them little fucking pizza scooters. And it looks like he's been stanking on it to rob the dumpster outside Madame Jojo's in Soho, for fuck's sake.
Honestly, okay, he posted this. Yeah, you gotta love the boy. Okay, he's got more front than Blackpool. Okay, he will dye his hair blonde, red, green. You gotta respect him. Okay, he's got bottle in abundance. But when he posted those boots, I thought he'd nicked them off that guy from Kiss.
Well, you know why he's so happy about them? Because they're being size 3, they're VAT exempt.
Mother care specials.
For mother care, yeah. Oh, come on, Chris. It's 8 minutes now. We haven't even fucking got into the show.
Okay, yeah, let's get on with it. Okay. Well, Gunners, it's been a pretty decent week with regards to wins and scoring some goals. The draw drought is over, and we're back to winning ways. On Saturday, we went to West Ham, evening kickoff. Yeah, they had a few injuries, fair enough, but we've got a few of our own. They've had a troubled season, but, West Ham's a London derby, and we went to the tax-free stadium, is it? The one they've given away?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I don't know what to make of that place, but Steve, talk me through the game. How do you see it, pal?
We started a bit hesitantly, and then all of a sudden they started making mistakes, and Nacho was timing his runs brilliantly down the left. 3 to 4 times he got in behind them. Problem is, no one bothered to catch up with him. Ball flashed across the front. I think Alexis Sanchez missed it by his big toe. Then Ozil missed it by a blink of his eyelashes. And then someone else missed it. We could have been 3-0 up in 10 minutes. And then we sort of went through a horrible malaise, quiet period. We kept the ball a lot. We just weren't doing much with it. West Ham actually sort of shaped up, managed to close down a bit. And then we took control of the game, and really there was only one team in it, and Sanchez hat trick was sublime. I would say it's the second best hat trick I've ever seen as an Arsenal fan. The first one being Dennis's against Leicester, but absolutely, great running, full of movement. And what was great was the interchange between players. So, Nacho was getting forward, someone else was swapping in behind him, people moving all over the place. And that front line so fluid, so able to move and drive. Defenders didn't know where they were coming from next. And Ozil was just sitting in the space that created the pace of Sanchez, Walcott, and even the Ox created for him to pull the strings and slide all the balls through. And I thought Xhaka had a brilliant game as well. So all in all, yeah, it was a great result. And the last goal of Alexis's, what a sneaky, cheeky, same foot dummy that was to throw the keeper and then just chip him. Brilliant goal, great performance. And you can't really say much more when your opposition's managers, when he's asked what he thought of it, just said, "Well, we were humiliated. Shame we didn't keep a clean sheet." But 5-1. Well, you can't really argue, really, can you?
No, it's superb. It was payback for the home defeat last season. I felt, we put them to the sword. Geoff, when things are going badly, people come at you. And so I want to pick your brains on a part of the game where people keep on saying Arsene Wenger doesn't do tactics. But in offense to Theo Walcott, he didn't have his brightest game. He worked hard. You could see he's making the effort. He's doing his defensive duties. He's having a go, but he wasn't massively effective on Saturday. And so the boss brings him off and puts Rambo on with the intention, obviously, we know Arsene Wenger always says he likes Ramsey coming in. It's what he's good at. He makes the extra man in midfield. And it really seemed to work for us. All of a sudden, all the effort, all the control we had turned into goals. And that's not just because Ramsey was there. It's because it's the extra man in midfield, and the passing was, as Steve's alluded to, was so zippy. You know, we really looked good. Wenger doesn't get a lot of credit for this, but what did you make of it?
Oh, 4 minutes early as well. I think it was 66 or 65 minutes. He brought Rambo on. I mean, Theo was doing a decent job. He, like you say, he's defensive. He's 50% better player than he was last year. That's for sure. And he's very industrious now. He gets stuck in. He looks a lot fitter, a lot stronger. He looks bigger as well. Looks like he's put on a little bit of muscle, and his mindset seems a lot different. When Rambo come on at 66 minutes, you're right. The game it opened up for us a little bit, but I've got to say, West Ham they are up for. I went over there. I was lucky enough to go over there. I sat in the West Ham section as it happens, so I had to be really, really careful. I was with a couple of my West Ham pals right on the halfway line. I didn't want to sit in the away end because where I'd been there before. In the away end, it seemed to me I was going to be a long, long way away. Whereas, if you're at one end of the ground, you can't. It's so far away from the start of the pitch that you won't be able to see the other end of the pitch. No way in the world. So I thought if I sit in the middle somewhere, it'd be all right. So I had to suffer sitting with the West Ham fans. I was very safe, and it was quite embarrassing, really. I felt sorry for them because they are the poorest team that we've played all season. I mean, we should have really. I was disappointed we wasn't 4 or 5 up at half time, mate. Honestly, because them times that Steve alluded to when Monreal was going down to the left-hand side, they're good chances. Then when you get behind teams like that, you should be able to put the goals away. But they are so poor, both down on the left-hand and the right-hand side. I think they've got a couple of fullbacks out, but. Mate, they was banging trouble, and I think they struggled, that mob. Our performance was really, really good. I think we bossed the game. I was surprised to see a stat that West Ham had 51% of the possession. I think I read that somewhere, Guardian or one of those newspapers. But our play was very, very good. Our passing was zippy. I think Xhaka is really, really coming into his own now, and Sanchez. Well, what a player that lad. Unbelievable. And if he carries on, I did say it was going to take 15 or maybe even 20 games to get the gist of that centre forward position in the Premier League, what he's supposed to do, but he's really, really coming to the fore now, and what a fantastic hat trick. All 3 goals are unbelievable, and like Steve said, when he's gone clean through, a few minutes to go, and he's done that shimmy, sat the goalkeeper down on his arse and just clipped it over him. Oh, man, that's brilliant. It's worth the entrance money on its own.
He was offside, though.
I don't care. I think you've got to let him have the goal, haven't you? Because of the business of
that
it.
makes it even better.
It does, actually. It does. It was a joy to behold him. You're talking about Xhaka there. John, going to come to you on Xhaka. Obviously, you know the guy from Gladbach. You know how capable he is. You've seen him. How did his performance strike you?
That was much more like the sort of Xhaka that I saw for the last 2 seasons at Gladbach, where Steve and Geoff were talking about Nacho getting down the left-hand side. Anyone who's ever watched Gladbach over the last couple of seasons, it's always been Oscar Wendt, and Xhaka just pulls that ball in between the full-back and the centre-half. For us, obviously, it's Nacho, but for Gladbach, it was Oscar Wendt to get in behind, get behind the defence, and then pull the ball back. And he used to do that game in, game out, and you saw him do that quite a few times. He's such a good passer on the ball, and especially his long distance passing. You can't give him time, and it's nice now to have a deeper player who's capable of that. Obviously, Santi can do that, and he's great, but you like to see him have it at his feet. He takes a touch with both feet, maybe beats a man or goes past someone and does little 1-2s. But Xhaka's got that long-range passing, which I think can really help us open up teams, because for a couple of seasons, we haven't really exploited the pace we've got in the side, and being able to knock it in behind teams is so helpful. Especially with obviously not playing Giroud now and playing Sanchez up top, so we're not playing off of a man. We can play everything in behind the defence, and once you turn them, like West Ham's defence was so bad, and obviously they lost Collins early on. Arbeloa came on, didn't look like he played football for about a year. He didn't have a clue where he was going. They were shocking. And I felt, that young kid up front for him, was it Fletcher? I actually thought he looked all right. He looked half decent, but he had no chance up on his own, did he? He's just running around up there. And they're basically, that team is just Mark Lanzini and Payet, and they can't do anything. They've got absolutely nothing to offer. But yeah, like Geoff said, they're the worst team I've seen in the league this season. They were really, really bad. But we should have scored so many more goals. The amount of times we got in behind the defence is unbelievable.
Yeah, I totally agree. Dan, the boys have been talking about Monreal. A really great game for Nacho. The Ox as well, grabbing a goal. What did he set? 1 or 2 up?
I think he got one assist.
One assist. Yeah. You had that real industry going up the left hand side. Well, obviously with Gabriel, a right back, you're not going to get much go forward with him. But down the left, Monreal and Ox were a constant threat. Monreal putting some great cross in the box, nobody there to get in the end of them. Fair enough, it's a bit of a teething issue. We should have taken advantage of it, but we didn't. The Ox with a few slightly wayward crosses at times, but they really seem to work well together in tandem.
They certainly did. And it was nice to see Monreal actually getting a little bit of cover at left back, because that's the problem we've had all season with Iwobi. No fault of Iwobi. He's a young man learning his trade, so he gets away with it. But then the Ox is, he's the elder statesman on the left-hand side at the moment, which is a strange thing to think about. And getting a goal and getting an assist. Opta gave him a 10 out of 10. And as Steve said, the Opta people were probably blind because the amount of wonky crosses that he put in. I've never seen anyone get a team get 2 10 out of 10 Opta ratings in a game. That's at whoscored.com if anyone wants to go and have a look at it. But you were saying, West Ham, they were terrible as well. But you have to take into consideration that Randolph bloke, when he was playing for Birmingham in the Championship about 3 years ago, he conceded against Bournemouth. He conceded 16 goals in 3 games, and 8, a 4 and a 4. So he's rubbish at that level. I don't rate him at this level. I know Adrian is a better goalkeeper, so I don't know why he was there, but why he wasn't playing. But then you got to remember that when they started the game off, they started 3 at the back, and then straight away one of the players got injured, so then they had to go and change again. So they weren't set up for it. And Payet, poor bloke, when he joined West Ham, he was 6'4". He's now 5'2" because he's carried them for the whole of last season and half of this season. And what thanks does he get? He gets bloody booed and shouted and screamed at. And Noble, I'm really surprised at Noble, because I really rated Noble as a player, and they even took Noble off. He was the worst West Ham player on the pitch. He got a 5.0, wasn't Ogbonna he got a 4.8, but yeah, and Noble got a 5.7. But it's lovely to see Monreal getting forward and having some cover, because if Monreal was going forward, then the rest of the other 3 centre backs, because Gabriel though is playing right back, he was centre back, they all shifted across a little bit. And I thought if Wenger ever was going to go and play a kind of 3 at the back, this would have been the kind of game that we'd have seen it, or the last one where Gabriel came on. But there's no sniff of it. I know Everton have started playing 3 at the back. West Ham have done it. Chelsea, everyone's copying Chelsea, but I don't think we're ever going to be playing 3 at the back. Not when we got one of the best right backs in Premier League that I can remember in Debuchy, and Monreal is brilliant, because Monreal has been getting a lot of slack this season, hasn't he, off of people? A lot of slack, yeah, a lot of grief off of people this season. And I think games like this will show people that with the right support in front of him, he still has got it, and we don't need to replace him just yet.
I think you're right there to say about the Ox, because he did have a reasonably good game, but he's so I call him Jekyll Oxlade Chamberlain, because he 1 minute he'll put in a brilliant cross at that last minute ball in that game where for United for Giroud to equalise, like pinpoint pass. Another time we're at the Emirates, he puts a cross in and it's at fucking White Hart Lane before you've even blinked. And it's like, or it's got, or even worse, it's gone out for a throw in. Jason and I were talking in the week about the Ox, and we were saying that he gets his decision making all wrong. And although he's a young man, you can see he's a footballer. He's got the physicality for it. He can muscle people off the ball. He can foul people if he needs to. If he wants to go past someone, he can do it. He can cause havoc in defences. It's when he gets to where he's got to make a decision is where it all goes horribly wrong. And I actually seriously think Arsenal should think about getting him a sports psychiatrist, they may have already done it, but to sit him down, because I think he gets all stressed out. He gets, if you notice, when he makes a mistake, he gets very angry with himself, and he's sort of like swearing at himself and kicking the pitch and throwing his arms up. He really gets annoyed with himself. You can see there's frustration there, and he needs to be able to cope with that, if you like, match stress, so he doesn't feel the stress, so he makes the right decision, or it doesn't interfere with what he's doing, and he gets a decent crossing or a shot or whatever it is he's doing. I think it would benefit him and the club a lot if they did that. Do
you think maybe he's trying a little bit too hard? This season,
yeah,
is his best ever season. 6 goals from 10 starts and 10 subs.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dan. I think he feels that at his age, and he said it, hasn't he, that he should be, playing weekly. He should be a first pick, and that, he can't. He has to take that into account, whether, if he's not starting, whether he stays at Arsenal. I think also as well, there's quite a bit of pressure on him. He would never say it, but his dad, Mark, was a brilliant winger for Stoke, as Geoff will tell you.
Yeah, he was.
And he played for England. And I think, as much as no one at Arsenal or anyone in the media ever puts that on him, I think Alex wants to be better than his father or be as good as his dad, and I think that's a pressure on him as well. And I also probably think they talk about games and stuff other. So maybe it's a case of like a couple of ladies sat in the pub analysing their relationships and overthinking it a bit, rather than and putting stress on himself. So maybe sitting down and talking it out with a professional about how to go through that process would benefit him.
I don't disagree with you. One of the things that's come up on Twitter, I'm not sure if it's in the news as well this week, but I've seen it on my timeline, is that the Ox looks up to Sanchez. He really idolises Sanchez at the moment and the way he plays. But if I was sort of on that coaching staff, the one thing Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain does not do is look up. He doesn't play heads-up football. And if I was somebody saying, look, you need a role model in this team, I would be pointing him in the direction of Santi Cazorla. Because, okay, Santi's injured at the moment, but look at the way Santi Cazorla plays. He knows where people are. Ozil the same, okay? Ozil or Santi, it doesn't really matter which one of them. But they know where players are on the pitch. They know where to put the ball for players to run onto it. They've got that ability, and that's all he needs to become a better footballer. He's been at the club 5 years now. He's undoubtedly a talent. He's a lovely guy. We've all seen the interviews. He's got a great attitude. He's got everything. But, I'd say he's got the wrong role model there. Yes, you can take... there's many attributes of Sanchez's game that he should take on board. Of course there is. It's not to say he shouldn't idolise him. But what is lacking in his game is heads-up football. It's been the same for years now, It's been the same for years, and yet you've got two of the greatest exponents of heads-up football in this team, and those are the guys he should be moulding himself on, because he's got the pace, he's got the ability to take on players. It's just his final pass. What do you think, Geoff?
I think he gets a rough ride. I've got to be honest with you. I think there's too many people giving him too much stick. I think it's really, really harsh. I honestly do believe he's a quality player, and I think we've seen enough already that he all right, fair enough. He sometimes a final pass, or he loses a little bit of concentration sometimes. But he's got, the kid has got absolutely everything.
Yeah, but Geoff, when it goes wrong, he beats himself up over it. And it's just this thing of all too often, I don't want to slag Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain off. I really don't. He's one of those players, I think we're all agreed here, we want him to do well. But all too often it's head down, and he's got to sort that out.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't entirely agree with it. I think he's a confident lad. You can say, footballers do make mistakes, especially outfield players. You're going to get the ball away; it's inevitable. Unfortunately, he's been caught out a couple of times, and it's cost us in goals. So it's been highlighted more. But I think he's a fantastic player, and I think he'll really, really come into his own and have a great future at Arsenal. I think he'll be a regular.
That's fair comment. That's fair comment. John, the overall performance, I thought we were really decent on the day. I know, okay, that's the worst team many of us have seen this season. West Ham were particularly poor. I have no sympathy for them. Fuck them. But you can only beat what's in front of you. And the one thing I suppose we've been guilty of this season is not really going on and scoring the 4 and 5s. You know, it's only against and we should have beaten Chelsea by 5 or 6. You know, against Sunderland, we missed a hatful of chances, and it's only late appearances by Giroud and Sanchez grabbing a brace apiece that we put that one to bed, really. You know, is this something you expect from this side now, to go on and really put teams to bed?
Yeah, it's something we've been asking for all season. Like even in this game, we were fairly in control, didn't take enough of our chances, went 1-0 up, and then we sort of switched off for a bit. And it weren't until we got that second goal that we really cracked on and went, no, right, let's just finish this mob off, and you know we can put our feet up and think about the next game. Because at the moment, it's obviously just want to get the 3 points, keep up with Chelsea at the top. And just like get one game out of the way and think about the next one. And I think the form that Sanchez is in, because that second goal was all that looked to me like, I'm fed up with you lot not giving me the ball in the right place, or none of you lot doing everything. And he just took on 3 players, beat the man, and put it in the only place in the goal where the goalkeeper's not going to be able to get to it. That's just out of frustration and annoyance. I think that we weren't more goals in front, and that just sort of woke us up. And having people like that in the team means we're going to hopefully get these sort of results more often. Because I think we have, even in the games we've won this season, we've been lazy at times where we could have beaten by a lot more and had, you know, rather than the last 10, 15 minutes sort of clinging on a bit and giving the other team a couple of chances, just be 3-4 up and the other team's gone, no, you know what, I'm not really interested. You can have the ball and just pass it around for 10 minutes and then we can all go home and forget about it. Because just once you've hammered a team, they're not interested anymore. And I mean, even in the West Ham game, I thought the goal we conceded was lazy. They were on the Payet free kick was absolutely superb, and if it had gone in, fair enough. But just the way our defence reacted, I thought was a little bit slow. But yeah, like I think this performance, like the Basel one, we're going to come on to as well. Just everything seemed to be moving a lot quicker. We seem more interested in actually getting the goals, and we're taking the chances now. So it's all good, onwards and upwards.
Cool. Okay, to finish this section off on West Ham, then Dan, I'm going to come back to you on this. Oh yeah, Andy Carroll. You know, their version of Chris scores a goal. We should have been better there.
Andy Carroll's just a shit Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
He's just a shit. I love the fact that who they played in the weekend, United. You're just a shit Andy Carroll. Oh no, it was West Ham last week. Yeah. But Ox's goal. You know, we've spoken about the Ox, but wow, he hit that, didn't he? He hit that.
I only thought, well, everyone else is having a fucking shot. This goalkeeper couldn't catch a cold. I'll have a pot shot. I'm surprised that Czech didn't have a run down and have a pot shot. Czech could have been on a hat trick as well, because they were so demoralised by that point. They knew that if anything was going in. And I think, you know, back in the old days when it used to be Ian Wright and Bergkamp, no, mainly Henry and Bergkamp, they'd often try and outdo each other with the magic that they did on the pitch. And now we've got Ozil getting the chip to goal against Ludogorets, and then Sanchez outdoing him against West Ham. So I think we're going to see this for the rest of the season. Those two are just enjoying life on the pitch, and it's brilliant. There was one thing I wanted to mention. I don't know what point in the show to do it, but ever since we've been at the Emirates, all our Arsenal fans have complained we haven't got a world-class goalkeeper. We do now. Our defence, we haven't got a rock-solid defence. We have now. Or we haven't got defensive midfielders. We got loads of them. We need a winger. That's what we need. We've got 3 or 4 decent players that can play on the wing. Or we need someone who can score goals. We've got it. We've got everything. I have never been so confident in a season as I am for this season, even with all the fans saying, oh, it's not good enough, Wenger. Just look at us. We're playing amazing football. We're smashing teams, and it's just brilliant. And even with injuries, we're still doing it. Imagine if we had a fully fit, full squad. We just go and put your money on us to win, people. That's what we're going to do. We're going to win the league.
To be fair, Dan, I mean, look, we spoke about the group.
You're going to be nice to me.
Yeah. No. I totally agree with you. I think, you know, I think, you know, you got a lot of people at the moment who they have concerns, and that's fair enough. And, you know, I do find some people, you know, you've got a section where they've been negative for the last couple of years, and rightfully so at certain points. Rightfully so. I'm not gonna pretend it's all been rosy, but you know, a draw against Tottenham are a decent side, however much we hate them. Okay, United, they're Man United at Old Trafford. 2 draws there. It doesn't seem so bad at the moment, does it? It's you can't win every game. The Invincibles, we couldn't win every game, so it's better to take a point. And then we got a section of our fan base where, to be honest with you, their parents should be fucking ashamed of themselves. They've brought up
never happy
little fucking hate mongers. These people are one step away from starting a hate group up.
I think it's more to do with Wenger, though, mate.
No, they're targeting individual players. You've seen the Jenkinson business, and then they're saying, they've got a man up. Well, no offense, we criticise players. That's fair enough. I haven't got a problem with criticising players, but the vitriol I've seen in the last few weeks, I just started following people because they're just at the fucking thunder cunts, to be honest. They are so such fucking low life. It saddens me. These people should be neutered. They should never procreate. They should never procreate because the bitterness, the vile, disgusting attitude. They can't even open their eyes. They have no idea on how to live life. I don't know whether to pity them or burn them. That's the truth of the matter. But fuck them. We got better things to talk about. Basel. John. Now, it was, a few changes. It's a game where you kind of know in the back of your mind Ludogorets could get something. They've been decent this year. The 6-0, we beat them by flattered us. So there's always a little bit of hope. Do you think, I want you to talk about the team we put out and how you felt we played.
We all had a chat about this, about the selection, because I think we were all, praying Ludogorets got the result, which obviously they did, but we thought realistically PSG probably would. So this was kind of a nothing game, so maybe there's a chance to rest a few players. But I think ultimately with the selection, he kind of went, Lucas came in, Iwobi came in, players who hadn't played for a while. Obviously, Lucas coming back from that injury. Holding got a start as well to give Mustafi a rest. So I think he struck the right balance between letting some players have the night off and going for it enough that just in case there was an upset, which there was in the end, we had enough on the pitch to get the result.
Yeah, he kept the spine, didn't he?
You can't. It's one of those you're damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of things, because people were going to moan either way. So I was fairly happy with the selection. Gabriel, he's having to do duty at right back at the moment. I don't think anyone was particularly happy when he was coming on. I can't remember what game it was now. He came on for Genko, and everyone was a bit. Everyone was a little bit worried. But I think since he's been playing that position, he's actually been all right. He's been out of the side for a long while. He's come in, not playing his natural position. He's done really well. And the team on the night, we got to see Xhaka and Ramsey play in the middle together, which a lot of people have been asking for. Some people haven't because they hate Aaron Ramsey for some reason. I don't know why. I'm sure we'll get onto that. But again, much like the West Ham game, the speed of the play was absolutely brilliant. Iwobi, Xhaka, Ramsey, Ozil, Lucas coming into the team, still fairly new to the group. I know he's been here a few months now, but he's been injured for a long period of that, so he hasn't really been out the chain with everyone. Got his hat-trick, which was fantastic, don't get me wrong, but I actually think it was all Sanchez and Ozil, just their movement and those two, just the way they're linking up. The balls they were picking out, especially for the first goal, and Ozil just picks out that lovely curling ball, and again, down our left-hand side, where we haven't got Bella in, so everything's coming down our left a lot more. Gibbs in this time instead of Nacho, was getting in every single time. I think, did he get 3 assists on the night? I think it was, when it Gibbs. Yeah. Sure. Just so good to watch and exciting to watch. And Basel they just didn't have anything at all. They really looked like they had absolutely nothing. I especially like the Xhaka brothers going at it. and our Xhaka definitely getting the better of it. Poor old Towler was kicked to ribbons by the end of the game. I don't know if Granite and Gibbs are best mates or something at the club all of a sudden, because the pair of them were absolutely flying into him all throughout the match. So that was good fun to watch. But it was just so nice to watch the game. Great for Lucas, settled in, gets a hat trick, and nice to have another player who can get a goal. Just sniffs out a bit of space in the box at the back post, something we've maybe been lacking a little bit at times. Like Walcott's had a very good season, we've already talked about, but I do think sometimes he goes to sleep a little bit. He tends to come inside a lot more rather than coming from wide out into the back stick. So Perez, looks a bit decent. Looks like he needs a wash, but looks a pretty handy player, as can't be said. Obviously they got,
that's fucking rich coming from you, John, with that beard.
Yeah. I didn't mention anything about his facial hair. He's got to work some to grow the beard. But like defence as well, I thought looked pretty solid. I know they got the goal, obviously, and holding was a little bit of fault for that. But I'm pleased to see, or at least I didn't see anything, no one giving him any stick, because I thought he was very good on the night. He's passing from out the back, he looks superb. How we got him for, what was it, $1 million? I've got no idea. You can keep, like, I was annoyed that we never entered even the talks for John Stones, because I did like the look of him. But for the money he went for, they've been absolutely mugged off, because Rob Holding looks twice the player already. He's absolutely blinding, that kid. He's going to be a worldie, he really is. But yeah, just such a good performance. And then obviously Ludogorets went and did us a huge favour, and we finished top of the group. So perfect, really. Didn't lose a game in the group. We didn't make silly mistakes like we did last year. And I actually think that the 2 PSG games for the group overall, we probably let ourselves down a little bit, because I think they were there for the taking in both those games. We could have won it, the group, even more easily in the end. But as for the game on the night, just brilliant, whole team. And really pleased for Iwobi as well, who's had a little bit of stick, people complaining about him covering at the back. Really nice for him to get a goal. Because, I know it's a tap-in, but just good for him. He was so happy with that.
They all count. It doesn't say on the record books at the end of the season, tap in. It just says goal. Great. Yeah, it was lovely to see. I thought it's a good summarization. Geoff, Basel, they're a decent side. They've troubled a lot of the teams of the last few years. They've beaten Chelsea. They ran PSG close. At PSG, I think.
Yep.
Okay, they maybe not the strongest team we've faced at the moment, but I felt the way the midfield and Gibbs came into it, it really, as John has said, it allowed Ozil and Sanchez to play, and the masterclass was on. How do you rate this sort of European performance going forward? Because we've had a couple of tough games. Ludogorets away was tough. PSG, the 2 PSG performances, I thought we were bloody awful. Okay, but we've picked ourselves back up. And is this the style we're going to play going forward in Europe?
Well, we went out there. It was a difficult tie. Obviously, Liverpool, Man United, and Chelsea have dropped points there or have lost. So it's difficult for British teams, and found it difficult to go out there and get any kind of result. And we just absolutely battered them. We just looked, 3 or 4 leagues much better than them. It was just incredible, And John really summed it up. He covered everything really. I mean, I got a big shout out for David Ospina. I think he's been brilliant since he's been playing. Every time he has to come in, I think he hasn't really put a foot wrong. I just think his professionalism just come in there and keep his concentration and to do a job. And we were talking about in previous pods about us having 2 players in every single position now, and 2 quality players, and we've got that with a goalkeeper, whereas years ago we haven't. If one keeper would get injured, we'd have another keeper that come in, and he wasn't quite up to the same standard. So it's a big shout out for him, and I think he's been a fantastic model professional. And if Czech does make a few bloopers, I wouldn't be surprised if he just slings him in there.
To be fair, I mean, I've been highly critical of Ospina.
Really?
Little Dave.
I don't see why.
Mate. When he first came in that season, he would constantly drop that ball as a sort of habit in the box.
He was the best goalkeeper in the league statistically.
Well, he may have been okay, right? But when it's a basic, you don't drop the ball in the box. I mean, I thought they taught that at schoolboy level, but and it came to a head last season. I can't remember who it was against, where he threw the ball into the back of his own net because he's used to doing that. But I think, in all fairness to him, I think you're absolutely right to praise him. He's got some great reaction saves this season in Europe for us. He really has, and he's done a good job. Can't remember if it was against PSG or was against Basel, but
PSG,
he dropped the ball in the box again, and 2 minutes later he's making the most fabulous save. He's covered himself in glory, to be fair to him. He really has. Okay, well, we talk about positives and negatives. Steve, no matter what I've seen this season, no matter what midfield Arsene Wenger's put out, at one point during a game, and it's every bloody game, it doesn't matter who it is, the opposition seem to bypass us with a clever pass. And I mean, okay, you can put it down to good play when it's something like Carrick or whatever, but they seem to be able to walk past us now and again in the middle. Why is that?
I don't know if it's walkthrough, isn't it? It's like coming to the Garden Mall and you're being shown around through the Chelsea Flower Show. They sort of wander through. They seem to switch off. Sometimes it's a clever pass, but what really bugs me, really has got me, is you see a player win the ball. So they'll win the ball through a closing down, or someone makes an error. And straight away they're on a breakaway and they start going forward and players start chasing them. But they're like running alongside them, like as if they're escorting them to the dinner line, make sure they get there safe. No one tackles them or fouls them in their own half. That's what as Geoff will tell you, if you're going to foul somebody, you do it in their half so you don't get booked for it. That way you can't be judged as being an alleged goal scoring. Says if you watch Spurs, and no one wants to do that, but just watch what the likes of Dyer and their midfield get up to when someone breaks away with the ball. Then Walker or Rose or Dyer straight away in there, they foul them, they bring them down. No one gets away with wandering through their midfield. But it happens to us, and it happens when we go up the pitch and we lose the ball. They switch off. People don't snap back to where they should be. I tell you, who is snapping back to where he should be? That's Theo Walcott. What a change that is. Only taken him 8 years, but bless him, he's working his bloody socks off. But I think one of the things is that if you look at the intensity in which we played against Basel and West Ham, you can quite clearly see that fast Arsenal is better than slow Arsenal. Fast Arsenal have a fluid, interchanging front line, which is also joined by Ozil or joined in Basel by Iwobi. You've got Walcott there as a speed merchant. You've got Sanchez there. But the defenders are terrified, so they're actually having nightmares. They're frightened to step up and try and catch us offside in case Ozil slides it right through the middle of them and either Walcott or Sanchez goes through with it or Iwobi goes through with it. So they sit back. So that gives Arsenal a lot more space to operate and open them up. It gives Ozil a lot more place to space to play. And it also means Sanchez doesn't really want to drop too deep. But against Basel, you saw this thing where you had Sanchez dropping out slightly deep, wide on his side, swiveling around and sticking diagonal balls in, and Lucas Perez was doing the same. So this maybe the intensity of the attack when they lose the ball at times, there's a momentary sort of like lapse in concentration where they switch off, and before they know it, they have to quickly adjust, and they haven't got quite the pace to get to the guy to make a tackle on him. And if they foul him, it's going to look like a really bad one. So maybe perhaps they're too nervous to foul him because of the refs. But you're definitely right. There is definitely a coming to the Garden Mord ruse there, because it happened against West Ham, it happened against Basel, and it happened against United quite a lot. And we got away with it because Mustafi and Kos were up for it. The two in front of them weren't always where they should be. But what was interesting for me about Basel was that the Xhaka-Ramsey combo in the middle of the pitch was very interesting, because on paper, you would have presumed that Xhaka would have sat deep and Aaron Ramsey would have had his forays going forward and does what he's good at. But actually, after a few forays going forward, actually Ramsey decided to sit back in place. He coped quite well. Xhaka was going forward. They were interchanged a little bit, but mainly it was Xhaka going forward more. It's interesting to see, well, actually, how would Ramsey and Xhaka cope versus, say, for example, Chelsea's midfield there? Because Basel weren't really overly physical. But, I mean, Xhaka was pulling strings and picking people out at will, but so was Sanchez, so was Perez. And you can say, yeah, you know, Perez's goals were down to Ozil or down to Sanchez's movement or Ozil's shot, which the goalkeeper palmed out. But the fact is, a poacher's got to pick his point. He's got to pick his position. And, you know, Perez is a finisher. He was a good finisher in Spain, and he looks to be a good finisher for us. So if you remember back his goal that he fought really hard to score against Nottingham Forest, and he did have to really battle to score it. And those 3 goals he scored there were tap-ins. He didn't really celebrate them. Really cold, you know, clinical thing. But you know, you look at that performance and you say, yeah, that's brilliant. We won, you know, we finished top of the group. We did what we wanted to do. We dominated the team. We scored loads of goals. But that niggling thought is still there. This coming to the garden mood moment's got to be stopped. The fucking garden gate's got to be fucking shut. Get the dog in there. And I don't mean Coquelin. I mean, Xhaka's got to close it up.
I think, yeah, I think you're right. You know, I mean, it's one of those things. It doesn't matter who's on the pitch. One of those guys has got to understand when you're back. You know, you have to shut the door. You have to shut the door.
And if you can't shut it, and you know this, Geoff will tell you. Can you imagine being in Barry Fry's team, Geoff, and running alongside a player, escorting him to the fucking dinny line? The bollocking would get at half time. Fucking hell!
I've met Fry twice. He says
your ears would burn off, wouldn't it? Your ears would burn off, wouldn't they?
It smash all the teas over, all the tea tray. I go up in the air straight away. That's for sure. They kick it up in the air.
It's just a joke. I mean, I do think as well Arsenal need to have that intensity, because like moments when you football, you score once, you can see you rock a team. Once you've rocked them, you don't want that shit your pants moment to go. You want to get straight back at them again. I mean, the best example of that ever in an Arsenal memory of mine is that we scored against Spurs and we went back from the kickoff. Fabregas robbed them and went straight through the lot of them and scored again. Game over.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that.
Moments win the game. So I think, you know, against Basel, having a bit of garden moored business can be forgiven, but you will not get away with that against top level.
No, you can imagine. Side. Yeah, you can imagine them. You know, Kevin De Bruyne. I know they're on a tough time at the moment, but you know he's not. He's
having a hard time because the Daily Mail don't like his girlfriend. So.
Yeah, fuck the Daily Mail.
Danny, a joke, Prince Harry.
Oh, sorry. All right, I'm totally lost now. Fuck it off. Dan.
You asked me about how I met Barry Fry.
No.
Fair enough.
I couldn't give a fuck about Barry.
How'd you meet Barry Fry, Dan?
Oh, funny you should mention that, Geoff. 2001 FA Cup final, just about to see Michael Owen ruin my day. I got in the lift and we went to go up to where I was sitting. Barry Fry was there, manager of Peterborough at the time, and I'm only 15 minutes from Peterborough. I went, Barry, if I knew you were coming, I'd have got a lift. He just looked at me and smiled. And the other time I saw him driving around the Huntingdon Ring Road in his Merc convertible, I shouted at him, "Oi, I told you to get that clean to bring it straight back." He didn't acknowledge me at all. I've been double fried.
Funny that, isn't it?
No.
No, it's not at all. Apologies, listeners. It's going to get worse. Dan.
Yes.
2 hat-tricks in 1 week. Lucas Perez. Boy, is that going to settle him down. As Steve said, as John's alluded to, you know, poachers goals, but you've got to be there and you've got to finish it off. What do you make of it?
It's, Geoff always says that real life isn't like FIFA, but I think you'll find, Geoff, this week it's been just like FIFA. Everyone's getting hat tricks.
Yeah.
Well, not me playing FIFA because I'm shit at it. But isn't it funny with poor old Lucas Perez that the final nail was almost in his coffin? He was almost doomed by all Arsenal fans, the ones that really, really know, because they've been going to football for nearly an entire year now, and they shout and scream on Twitter, "He's shit, get rid of him." So I don't know how he's managed to pull that out. It's not like he's like Geoff was saying, he's been scoring his entire career at every single club he wwent to, and it was only a matter of time. And for someone who's only just come back from injury to play like that and get a hat-trick in the Champions League, I think we may have had 8 Champions League hat-tricks at the moment. I tweeted the last 5 when we did this, And then there was, I think there was an Henry. I think 2 for Henry. Wasn't one of them against Roma? And and there was another one as well, but I couldn't fit it all on one tweet. So I mean, that man has gone down in history as one of only a handful of players to get a hat trick for Arsenal in the Champions League, or in the Champions League. Oh, there aren't that many, is there? Yeah, I know Messi's got 7 hat tricks. What?
Word of warning.
Go on.
One of the hat tricks is Nick Bentner.
I know it is. Mighty Nicky B. Man's a legend.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but what do you think of his all? Yeah, but what do you think of his all-round performance? Because he has been getting a bit of stick, to be fair to him. He has.
Come.
But he's been getting a bit of stick, but he's not exactly had a load of minutes for us. Oh. He's been played out wide and up top. Mm-hmm. I don't understand what people expect from him. Yes, he's come to a new club. He's not in the starting lineup every week like Mustafi. So, of course, it's going to take time for him to bed down. And it's a lovely way for him to answer his critics.
A couple of those games have been in the League Cup with mishmash teams, with youth players not even sure how to put their own socks on. Just imagine if Dennis Bergkamp joined us this season and started the way he started his career at Arsenal. God, he never would have made it through half a season, would he? That's it. Shit, get rid of him. But he's useless.
Dennis Bergkamp had it off the press.
That's what I mean.
It was the Stuart Pearce thing. What a waste of money.
Yeah, and then was it against Southampton he scored his first goal?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We always say that whether it was or not, because it's my fault if I'm wrong. But it's just lovely. It's just absolutely free-flowing, wonderful attacking football. And I was little because when we started the season off, we had the front three of either they're not wingers, are they? They're like inside and outside forwards. I think maybe that's the best way you can go. Or that's maybe the best way you can describe them. They're not wingers, but they're not strikers. So it's a combination of the two. But you get both of those two, and whoever's playing up front. And when it's Sanchez playing up front, all 3 of those are like a conveyor belt where they just move all over the place. You can't mark them. And that's how we started the season off. And then I thought that recently we'd stopped doing that with the draws that you mentioned against Man United and Spurs, because partly due to injuries, and it's a away game for the Man United one. And you've always, when you're playing against Spurs or Man United, form always goes out the window. So you shouldn't worry too much about it. We didn't lose. That's the most important thing. But now we're back on. We've seen the last 2 games, although, as you're saying, West Ham are rubbish and Basel, they're not the team they used to be, but they're still a half-decent team. And they'll, I think they are, no, Ludogorets are in the UEFA Cup now, aren't they? Because they beat PSG. Yeah. So it's a shame, Basel. I mean, Basel are 10 points clear in the Swiss league as it is. I think it's 10. But they've had so many of their best players. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Basel were beating Man United home and away in the UEFA Cup, wasn't it? Was it the Champions League or... I think they had 3 games against them, and they did really, really well. So, I don't imagine many teams are going to go to Basel at any stage in any European competition and get a hat trick like that and make that game look so easy. But I predicted a 4-1 win, and Geoff was saying before you got here, Jace went, "How'd you do that?" I went, I wanted 3-0, but Jace had it, so I went 4-1. that was my whole decision on how I managed to be top of the prediction league.
So Danny's top of the prediction league, Jace. Yeah. I'm not sure whether we should have a call of stewards inquiry into that. I was talking before the podcast started. If Wada was involved, right, it'd be nicked, mate, because he's gone bottom of the league for 2 years on the spin. Now he's at the top of the league. Come on.
I got to be honest with you, gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering, jiggery pokery, mate, for sure.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
And there's definitely no shenanigans going on.
Well, we'll have to examine who's the administrator of all this.
I think I may take it over. I think it's called a Paolo Rossi.
We farm it out to China, and they do it all for us.
For those too young to remember Paolo Rossi, he won a World Cup, but he took a couple of buns. What a player!
It was banned all league football, and they went, but you can come back for the World Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
1982, I think that was ish.
Good old Italian justice. You can't knock it.
Spain 82.
John. We spoke to you about Xhaka earlier on. And you've mentioned the midfield of Xhaka and Ramsey. How do you think they went? Because, again, that's the 10th different midfield lineup in 11 games, I think. And, we're looking for that right balance. Talk me through what you think of it.
I liked it because I think
that kept our pace of play high throughout the game, like Steve highlighted, and that's where we look most dangerous. The problem is, I think a lot of people have made this mistake with Xhaka. He's not a defensive midfielder, and he never was. He did it occasionally for Gladbach, but that wasn't really his position. He did more. He'd either play box to box or he'd be deep line playmaker, and that was it. Kind of the reason he got sent off a lot, as people have probably already seen this season, is because when he makes a tackle, we normally make sure he kicks every part of the player as well at the same time. So he's not going to be best for defensively, and I do think that is an issue in the middle. What confuses me with that midfield, like I really like them two as a pairing, but I do think there's a chance they'll get exposed against better teams. Is when we have Coquelin in there, who is our most destructive player. Obviously, you're going to lose a little bit of the fluidity because, and not knocking Coquelin, but his passing range isn't the same. He's not going to be able to play at the same pace of play with his passing as Ramsey or Xhaka can. But he seems to be so high up the pitch all the time, and I don't know why that is exactly. Maybe Arsenal's trying to get him to win the ball higher up the pitch so he can pressure from higher up, which is fine. But
he did that against West Ham, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay? But it's the first time I can remember it working this season.
But this is the problem. If we don't win the ball high up and he's out of position, then whoever that is playing alongside him, whether it's Xhaka or Ramsey, I think actually Ramsey not to so much extent, because I actually think Ramsey's defensive work is actually quite good and always gets ignored, to be perfectly honest.
He was our joint highest tackler last season.
Yeah.
And he's been out injured for quite a chunk of it.
Yeah, people have got their agendas against certain players, haven't they? But I don't particularly like Coquelin playing with Xhaka. I don't think that works. I think you can Coquelin and Santi. We know works, but while Santi's out, you've got to find the right balance there. So I think it's about picking the right pair for the right games. But when we are favoured, which is going to be the majority of games we play, to be honest, I don't see a problem with having Xhaka and Ramsey in there. We should be good enough to keep the ball for the majority of the game anyway and play so fast that the opposition can't get anywhere near us to get the ball. And the way that Mustafi and Koscielny, the partnership they've got, has been really solid. We all know how good Nacho is. Obviously, Bellerin's not there at the moment, but Gabriel's come in, done really well. You've got Czech. So I don't think defensively it's such an issue, but there's the balance just doesn't seem to be there. It's weird because we think of it as sort of a three-man midfield, but it's not really, because Ozil basically plays as a second striker majority of the game. He's not helped back there defending. So in quite a few matches, we're normally pairing up our two midfielders against a three-man midfield, so they can get overrun in there sometimes. So maybe in the big games, you might have to sacrifice some of that pace on the right-hand side and play a Ramsey out there, and he will come and tuck in like Wenger likes him to do. Because you think back to last season, our most successful periods was when Ramsey was playing on the right, because he was helping out in the midfield and getting up and down the right-hand side, because he's got that engine to do both. So you might have to sacrifice a little bit going forward in the bigger matches. But I think that's just common sense, and we'll have to see how it goes from there on.
Don't you feel that? I mean, the one thing that struck me on Wednesday was you had the passing range of Xhaka. You had the movement of Ramsey, the way Xhaka would just put somebody on the attack, and then you had Ramsey just on the edge of the box when we're in attack, just being the extra man, just moving it along quite nicely. Not Santi-esque, because he's not that type of player, but just being there where he's needed to be. And surely if, this team looks a hell of a lot better when it's all out in attack, surely to beat the big guys, you want that maybe, or do you think that might be being too brave?
I think if we're at home, I think we can go for it. But I think there's certain games you've got to give it up. I know obviously we flattened Chelsea, but you look at them now, they're a totally different team. So I think maybe if we played them, you're going to have to put. I think you're going to have to sacrifice and maybe play Ramsey as one of the wide players just so he can come and tuck in. Because, as good as Sanchez is and his work rate and he tracks back and he'll win the ball and things like that, you don't necessarily want him doing that. Ozil's not going to offer you much defensively. He'll cover loads of ground and he's an amazing player and he's beautiful to watch. But in that side of the game, he's not going to help you out. So I think sometimes you've got to sacrifice it. But I really like the look of those two together. And all right, Basel weren't the best on the night,
but it's still a Champions League game, and it's an away leg and a game that we wanted to win. And I just thought that the speed of the play, and like you say, Ramsey was just doing the simple things, just helping out. Anyone needs a 5-yard pass just to give themselves a bit of space again. He was there, yeah, lend me the ball, I'll give it straight back to you. And because he's got that engine, he can do that all over the park. I think El Neni, maybe he's got the engine to do it. He just needs to have the confidence because he's someone you could see maybe doing that role. He seems to always go sideways instead. But he's definitely got the legs to get up and down the pitch and just be there. That sort of like little easy 5-yard option. Take it back off Ozil. Ozil can then go find another pocket of space. Yeah, give it back to me right now. I can start another attack. So it's nice to be able to have different choices in there for once, because you think the last couple of years it has been so limited. It's just been 2 players and that's it. And if anyone gets injured, we're completely done. And everyone was thinking the same this season as well when Santi went out. But we're still winning, so you can't really complain.
Well, you know, I mean, you go back 3 years ago when you did that. We were top for the calendar year, whatever. We've done it twice in the last number of years. You had Arteta and Ramsey in the middle, or Arteta and Jack. It's nice to get back to a place where we've got a number of really decent options. You know, you got El Neni, who's a I like El Neni. You know, I know I may be a bit harsh on him saying
he's a 7 out of 10, isn't he?
Yeah. That's what he is. That's
never going to be spectacular, but he's never going to hugely disappoint either.
And he's not going to let you down. Yeah, he's not going to let you down. And Coquelin, you know, I love him for his destructive ability, but his attacking prowess is limited. You know, there's not many assists in his locker. There's 2 goals in his professional career. You know, and you can't. I wouldn't say polish a turd is the wrong way to put it. You know, he's very effective for us, and he gives us everything. You know, you gotta love his passion.
He's very one-dimensional.
Yeah, exactly. Geoff. Rob Holding. Now, John's brought up Rob Holding already. It was a bit of a clanger that led to the goal. But this is the type of game where you want them to actually make a mistake, where you're 4-0 up, you know, the pressure's off. It's not the end of the world. It's not costing us points. It's not costing us anything. He strikes me as a calm, intelligent player, really good distribution skills, knows where to position himself. Okay, he had a little bit of a rush of blood to the head with the goal that we let in, but it's looking good at the back at the moment. You got him, you got Chambers doing well at Borough. Mm-hmm. It's all coming along quite nicely. How do you see that developing?
Looks a good player, doesn't he, Rob Holding? Fair play to the lad. He's a big, strong boy. He's very quick across the pitch, but looks so calm and assured on the ball, and that's his confidence, you know. And it looks, as John said, you know, if you put the 2 of them up and just put their picture reels up, and you said one was 55 million and one was like 1 million, I think you'd pick Rob Holding, to be honest with you, from what I've seen. No doubt Stones is a fantastic player as well, and he's another one that's very, very calm and assured. But Rob Holding, he just gets about his play. Obviously, he's still learning on the job. Different level of football, Champions League, but you know, he's acquitted himself really, really well. The last couple of games, though, what I've been most impressed with and most happy with is obviously Ozil has played his way into form again. You know, we had a couple of 2 or 3 dodgy games before that in the PSG, Tottenham, and the United match. He wasn't his best, but you know, he's playing his way in there again, and hopefully he can continue that to right the way through the season. And it's 2 good away wins on the bounce, and I think we're actually unbeaten in 2016 away from home. Now that is something that, I mean, that's a fantastic achievement. I hope we can carry on right the way through the season. If we go unbeaten, mate, you know, we've got to be pushing up there somewhere.
Yeah. It's do you know what? There are a lot of positives people are overlooking at the moment. Okay, last season, you know, we let ourselves down. Let's be fair, but we've had some really nice additions to the squad, and it's all heading in the right direction. Steve, so we seem to be playing. The one thing that struck me, we spoke about this midweek, the pace of the game we played. We seem to be playing some really brave football at the moment. As we go into Europe down the line, do you think we need to keep that going, or do you think we need to mix and match our tactics? How do you see it working?
I think if you look at when we start the games that we played really, really well, Chelsea, we blew them away. But last season as well, we were having really good results where we sat back and compact and blew teams away on the break. And I think we've got also plan B now where we can, when he's fit, we can bring Giroud on. And he adds an extra dimension in the box. Yeah, he slows the game up, but a lot of defenders don't like playing against him. And he does get you goals, as he proved against United. I think the fact is that for most teams in the Premiership, they can't live with us when we play like that. If you're going to come up against Chelsea, now they've sorted their lives out, and they, after the kicking we gave them, they've responded, and you've got to give them credit for that. Conte's done a good job there. The way they've blown a couple of big teams away, you've got to give them the credit. But I don't think we'd play like that against Chelsea. I think we would sit back, let them have the ball, and be compact and try and hit them on the break. We would be looking to expose in that game, putting fast men in behind their centre halves who, let's be fair, could be a lot better. One's very liable to make an error or give a foul. The other one's very likely to score an own goal. In the Champions League, well, it really depends who we draw. If we play Real Madrid, it's a question of keeping the ball and playing like that at high intensity and making sure that we beat their keeper because their defence isn't that clever. We don't know who we're going to draw yet, and I think we can play fast Arsenal and be a fast attacking Arsenal and keep the ball going forward, lots of movement, buzzy little bees up front, nipping in and out between the lines, between the defenders, balls coming in from all places so they can't judge it. Or you can sit back and be compact and let Ozil pick the lock. As long as the person that gets through to open the lock puts the ball in the net. So, to be honest, we don't have to keep it up. We can vary it as we need to.
I totally agree with you, but for me, we've looked far more effective playing that fluid style, really attacking teams, and
I think I think also, there was a malaise when Santi got injured, and Arsenal took some time to find a pairing in midfield which would work with Ozil and the rest of the team. And you can't. You've said consistently for about the last 10 weeks we haven't had the same two central pairing for weeks. So we've had that. We've had consistency in the fact that Xhaka has played there 2 games in a row now.
Yeah.
I think now it's a question of, is it Xhaka Ramsey or is it Xhaka someone else? I don't like Xhaka Coquelin, but I can see why it's there. And I totally take what John says. I think Coquelin shouldn't be up the pitch trying to win the ball high up the pitch. If he's going to do that, if he wins it, fair enough. Just win it, give it to a person who do something with it and fuck off back to where you should be. Don't stay up there nonsensing around because odds on someone will lose the ball and bosh there straight on you and straight back where Coquelin's supposed to be but isn't. And that's where the come into the garden mood moment occurs. You've got people running alongside players escorting them to the buffet line. I think there's a lot of the fact that the consistency you need to have for players to get understandings of relationships with each other. You can see that that's built between Ozil and Sanchez. You can see that the Ox is starting to get a little understanding with Sanchez. When Sanchez scored, Ox was lifting him up in the air, and Sanchez was thanking him for his assist. And when Ox scored, the same thing again. Sanchez came over and was patting him on the head, and players are coming off when they're subbed off. They're not moaning. Didn't see Ozil come off moaning or going down the tunnel. No, he went and sat down on the bench, just sat there with Mustafi. And the same with Sanchez, sat there beaming like an angel. He's just found a new Labrador puppy under his desk. But the thing is this, that in the Premiership, the next opponents are Stoke. And then Stoke aren't Stoke of old, and they've got some weak points, and they can be exploited. I think we can play that fast game against them and have a lot of success with it. The big question there is, can we beat their keeper, who's a bit fucking good? I think, yeah, we can. When you come up against City, here's the big toss-up. Do you fancy yourself against the fact that Guardiola leaves a lot of gaps in midfield and their defence is rather shite? Or do you sit there and say, well, come on, actually, you know what, we can stop you scoring. We'll sit back here and we'll just hit you on the break. That's a decision Arsene Wenger's got to make.
I got to be honest, I think it would be far more effective just having a go at those fuckers. You know, I'd love us to have a go at City, you know, have a proper game against them.
Yeah, I also think a lot of this more garden business with the wandering through, I think that comes down to nerves. I think a lot of this hesitancy by players is the pressure that's put on them by fans, the expectations. They don't want to give the ball away. They don't want to be the one that makes an error. So sometimes they're conservative rather than adventurous. And that robs this moments business. And that moments business is what makes games. You know, that little shimmy of Alexis Sanchez's, that's a memory. But what the moment is that the fact that Lucas Perez scores with his first touch within 10 minutes against Basel, then all of a sudden, wallop, straight away, we're on him again. Ozil's had a shot, he's in there again. 2-0, that game was over. They were dead and buried. They weren't coming back from that. And that's what you have to do. The fact is, against City, you want to ensure that moment doesn't fucking happen against you. And sadly, for us in the past, it has done. So I think that's why Arsene will, when it comes to a big team, he does respect them. That's why he does play Coquelin.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Danny. So good that he
telling John off for tweeting during the pod. He's not listening. He's arguing with me.
You tweeted me.
You bloody did not. How dare you? I'm telling Chris.
It's like herding fucking cats. Seriously. What are you two like?
Tweeting and watching football, Dan.
Honestly.
More
life, boys.
Jockman's just said he can join us on the 29th for a podcast.
Do you know who we should have got on?
Little jockey.
Do you know who we should have got on tonight? It's just
Dennis
struck
Bergkamp.
me. Swiss Rambo.
Oh, Swiss.
Oh!
And he said he'll come on.
Andy was at the game. Andy was at the game as well.
Yeah, he was there.
He was sat 4 rows behind Arsene Wenger. Because I said to him, he said, "Look where my seat is, Steve. I'm 4 rows from Wenger." I said, "I hope you've got your A4 placard there with the financial reasoning behind paying Sanchez and Ozil all the money they want written out on it." And his reply was, "I've had my curry breakfast and a pint, and I'm writing the placard as we speak."
Talking about finances, Jace, can I bring up an article that I've just tweeted my anger about?
I want to ask Stoke. Can we come on to that?
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, sometime in the show, I'd like to talk, just bring up something to do with the wages. Talk Stoke.
Well, you can bring that up because you've got questions about contracts.
We do.
Okay. So you're going to... I'll ask that question and you go into it straight away.
We do that.
Here we go, people. We just do this as we go along.
We do.
I have tonight 2 notes. You could ask the guys, begin the podcast. Say if you're going to talk about anything. No, not really. Steve mentioned the garden path, and that's it. This is the podcast.
Yes, we're talking about Stoke.
Yes,
they got Shea Given in goal.
Stoke next Saturday. Yeah, Butland's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, and they got the grant. And that's it. So they'll have Shea Given in goal, and he's older than some of the people that we pod with. He's 40, and his best days are way behind him.
What a career, to be fair.
Oh yeah, what a lovely man as well. Yeah. But Irish legend, to be sure.
Yeah, we're going to Stoke on Saturday. We've just come off 9 goals, 2 hat-tricks. We've led 2 win, 2 great performances.
Yeah.
How would you attack this game?
Are we at home or away? Because I've just changed the page. Oh no, we're at home. Yeah, Saturday.
We always hump them at home.
Eh?
We always hump them at home.
We always hump them. They started the season off terribly, didn't they? Which they quite often do, and then they've had a bit of a run at the moment. I think they've had 2 wins in the league, and then a loss, a draw, and a win. Finally, they've got some of them. I mean, they've got some brilliant players in there. Like Affalay was brilliant in his day, though he's not played a game this season. Shaqiri, oh, what a player he was, and what other ones? Wilfred Boney's another half decent player. There's Bojan, another ex-Barcelona. I think there's and all that twat and Arnautovic, who the Boichi killer.
Budget Zlatan Arnautovic.
But I think isn't there a stat that Stoke have got more Champions League winners at the club than any other club in the Premier League that haven't.
Yeah, they have, but
like
every single one of those players wasn't actually playing in the squad. Like Arnautovic was at Inter when they won it, and Shaqiri was at Bayern, but played like 2 games. Afellay was at Barca. I think he just come back off his loan or something. None of them played in the fucking competition.
That's fair enough. But yeah, I think we just go out there and play the way we do. Don't defend. Don't let I'd start Ramsey. Let Ramsey get in there and start 2-footing the fuckers and teach them that the error of their ways. I mean, just looking at their defenders, they've got nothing special going on, have they? Most of their players are past it, and the only player that might have a pot shot is going to be Joe Allen, who I've always had a bit of a soft spot for, even though
the Welsh Pirlo.
That's the Welsh Pirlo. I knew it was something like that. So yeah, I don't think we've got anything to worry about. Personally, I'd like to see Peter Crouch start up front. Someone did a tweet of him scoring a goal for them when they were playing FIFA, and he replied back, "At least I'm getting a game somewhere."
You gotta love Peter Crouch.
It doesn't top the.
His greatest quote ever was when they asked him, "What would you be if you weren't a footballer?" and his reply was a virgin.
That's what I was about to say. Oh,
he's very good. His one-liners are brilliant, aren't they?
I remember that goal.
That's mostly why he's got a bird like Abby Clancy, mate. It must be something funny about him.
What was that? What was that goal he scored? The one from edge of the touchline.
Against Man City. He scored the worldie, didn't he? Yeah.
He's 35 now, isn't he? So he's lucky he's still got a contract with somewhere. But we should hammer them. We should just take, especially if they've got poor old Shea Given in goal, who's 41 in April. They've got nothing.
Now you've said this, he'll have a fucking worldie again.
Yeah. It'll be the curse. It'll be the curse of the goalkeeper at Arsenal, won't it? Every single they play the best game of their life.
I am touching wood as we speak.
They're not the Stoke of.
Are you sure that's not touching cloth?
Yeah, they're not the Stoke of Pulis, are they? That's what it is. They're not. I think he's got them playing, trying to get them to play, and they're caught half between. So I think if we got to go them first 20 minutes and have a right go at them. So I think they're definitely vulnerable. I can't. Surely we can't drop points against Stoke City. I'll be absolutely gutted. I think we'd be way too much for them. The only thing is everyone's always a little bit susceptible after you're coming back from a euphoric Champions League win. So the boys, they keep their feet on the ground and have a right go at it, because we have got to be professional. These are the type of games if you're not at it, you will get caught. I can't imagine Stoke coming there being too offensive. They'll try and do what other teams have done, like Southampton the other week. They'll try and just bide their time and try and catch us on the break. But I don't even think they've got the pace up top to catch us. So if we're clever enough and we're at it, if we match them early doors and have a right go at them, I can't see us. It shouldn't be no problem at all.
Well, their away form in the Premier League is quite good of late. They've had 2 wins and 2 draws, but before that, they lost 5 out of their last 6 Premier League games away, conceding 4 3 times. So, yeah, like Geoff says, as long as we do what we do best, score goals, play with gay abandon, we'll murder them, maybe. Hopefully.
Hopefully. John, anything to add to that?
No, I just think don't be too surprised if we start off a little bit slowly, because it is typical post-European game. We tend to do that, but I'm sure if they give us the remotest sniff of a scare at all, it'll wake the team up, and I can't see any problems. So, easy by at least 2 goals, no worries.
Does anybody think that now with Mustafi's addition into this team, we're a bit more solid at the back? So, we've had our moments where we've let ourselves down this season in defence. But I see us as a lot, we've got that organiser who enjoys defending. He bloody loves it. You can see it in him. He enjoys defending. Do you think that's, a big contributing factor to how we can attack this game?
Who are you asking?
Any fucker.
Oh, I'm answering the phone. Someone else will have to take that.
John.
It's Sexy Frank. He's ringing me. I've got to go.
At least it's not Mick Dagger.
He's been great since he's come in, Mustafi. He just fitted in straight away, and him and Cos have done really well. I do think we've at the start of the season we still looked a little bit dodgy from set pieces. I think part of that actually is because Giroud hasn't been in the team. People forget how good he is and how many clearances he makes when he comes back and helps out in defence. So we definitely missed him in that sense. But the only other weakness has been, like we spoke about before, down our left-hand side where we've been a little bit exposed. But that problem seems to have gone now. So I don't see any issues really. Stoke are always going to be a threat from a corner or something like that, though, because they are a big team. I don't think they're ever going to go away from that. So that's the only thing I'd watch out for. But we just do, I think ever since we signed Cech and now we got Mustafi, when a player is running at our defence, I don't worry anymore. You still get a little bit nervous, but it's not like it used to be. You'd always get that, oh, no, that's it. That's a definite goal. Now I'm more like, right, I'll wait until I see defender's made the tackle. No, he's missed it. Oh, okay. And I don't even get worried then. I'm like, it's all right, it's checking goal. He'll save it. He'll do something. The ball's got to be in the back of the net before, Whereas before it's like, oh, they've gone past our midfield. That's it. We've lost the game. I just give up all hope. So it's definitely made me feel more confident.
We all know that feeling. To be fair. Okay, cool. So that's a little bit on Stoke as well. So that's a roundup of the weekend. A look ahead at Stoke. Dan, are you back?
I certainly am. It's Sexy Frank. Want to know if I need any more decorations out of the loft?
Do me a favour. Tell Sexy Frank to fuck off. We're podcasting. That's the way I feel.
He doesn't like. He's been to one game with me. Leeds beat us 3-1. Pennant got a hat trick. I said, "You'll never fucking come in again."
He's a Jonah, the bastard.
Fucking right, electricians, all the same.
Yeah, twats. And he overcharges.
He does. No.
Okay, on to questions,
yes. Righto. So, we get through.
Danny, I'm asking you the first one, okay?
Go on then.
Because you wanted to talk about this, and then you can go on from there.
Oh,
so we've had a number of questions about contracts, obviously, with the news being dominated by Ozil and Alexis contract talks. Jeff Barker asks, what is the biggest factor to Ozil and Alexis contract talks? Is it money, is Wenger, or our ability to win a major trophy? Siddharth Hazariki. No, sorry, he says Thursdays are Spurs days.
You're nicking all my questions.
Yeah, I'm only doing the ones about contracts. Katis, question for the pod. What's the bigger focus in the summer, signing new players or new contracts for Alexis or Ozil? Joseph asks, Geoff, do you know anything about our two main contract situations? And Gregor Lesniak, happy Gregor Lesniak, Ozil Sanchez staying for 18 months more or leaving next summer? Dan, you kick us off. Everybody's talking about this.
Did you said Curtis? It's Kurt Ice, the one who got married recently, and him and his missus.
Sorry,
Kurt. They both had their names on the back of their shirts. You seen the size of Kurt? He'll come and rub you out.
No, he won't. No, sorry, Kurt. I do apologise. Go on, answer the question.
Which one do you want me to answer?
But talk about the contract situation. You've obviously got something to say. Talk about it.
Well, the bit I wanted to talk about was in that fucking rag, the Daily Telegraph, with a shit article by Matt Law who just makes it up. And the gist of the article is he's put down here, Ozil is currently on 140, Sanchez is on 130, and I'll read this. I've scrolled down the page too much, haven't I?
Well, why read the clickbait shit out? You'll only get people to go and read it, and he'll have achieved his objectives. So don't bother reading it out.
The gist of it is, he says they both want £384,000 a week. What kind of bullshit is that? And he says some sources claim. Well, that could mean there could be a gerbil has set up a Twitter account and gone, 384 grand, and that could be his source. Bullshit. Bloke's a fucking mug. Just clickbait bullshit nonsense and stuff like that is deliberately done to make us look like fucking idiots and try and upset the players. Anyway, right, I'll start off with the questions in the right order because Jason's gone and read them out and I haven't managed to delete all the ones. So James CO says, if you could
hold up, yeah.
What
about the boys? The boys want to answer this question. I want the boys talking about this contract.
Yeah, I've got a section on contracts in a minute.
Can we just get on with it now rather than read out the questions? Because the whole problem of it is people have got a lot of questions they've asked, a lot of which are about specific issues, and they're all forgetting 1, 2, 3 main things, and they're all asked about phase as well.
Yeah, go on.
So can I start?
Yeah.
Right. 3 things. the main negotiation on contracts is done by Dick Law, with oversight by Gazidis, as far as I understand it. Gazidis will rubber stamp on behalf of the board. If it's a massive amount, I've no doubt he has to defer to Quonka's people. But if Gazidis and Dick Law want it, it goes through. Wenger apparently is the one that sets the wages. I could be wrong on that because no one really knows whether that's true or not. But at the current time, we have got, in 18 months, the following players' contracts will be up. Per Mertesacker, Gibbs, Santi Cazorla, Jack Wilshere, Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil and Olivier Giroud. Now, it's not well known to a lot of football fans, but in the last 3 seasons, there's been a voluntary wage cap in the Premiership, which was agreed to by all of the clubs apart from Manchester City, spookily. I'm sure that's right, which is basically an idea to stop, first of all, to stop clubs making irresponsible financial decisions with money, which would cost the clubs their future. And secondly, I think it was also designed to stop those clubs who've got shareholders with bottomless pockets just funding ridiculous wages and fueling wage inflation in the Premiership. So the way it worked was this, that they said that it started in 2014, and they said if your wage bill in 2014 is over 52 million quid, then these restrictions apply to you. If it's under that, then it doesn't apply to you. So in that year, the extra amount of your central fund revenue that could be used to fund wages was 4 million quid. And in the next year, 2014-15, the budget level, wage level went up to £56 million. And you could put your wages up by £8 million. Now, this season, 2015-2016, the wage bill level's gone up to 60 million. Now, I keep saying these wage bills. Be advised, Arsenal's wage bill is £149 million. That also, though, includes directors and it also includes employees. I'm not sure whether the Premiership wage structure rules cover non-playing staff's wages as well. It doesn't really matter. But in this season, you can put your wages up by £12 million and no more. So you can put your wages up by more if you increase your commercial revenue. So that's why Manchester United have been going hell for leather. That's why Chelsea have been going hell for leather to increase their commercial revenue, because it means they can pay more wages. Arsenal's weakness financially is their commercial revenue, because they haven't had a proper team or put big enough resources into that to increase the commercial revenue up to where it should be. Arsenal got a very big turnover. That's due to high TV revenues and high match day revenue, but the commercial revenue lags behind. Now we're coming up to a position where we can increase that, but let's put some relevance into this. So at the moment, we can put £12 million a year without falling foul of this wage cap. So let's say, for example, that Alexis and Ozil do want £300,000 a week. At the moment, they're getting around 140 or 130k a week. So that's £6.5 million a year. So you're talking about it to put them up to 300, around the Paul Pogba mark of 170k a week. That's an increase of an extra £8.8 million a player. So times 2, that's 16.6 million. So already you can see there that you're 4.6 million over the top of what you're allowed to put in. So you would actually have to increase your commercial revenue or your TV revenue by 4.6 million. Now do you understand why finishing top of the group was more important last night? Because that netted us about 3.5-4 million quid. But you've also got to work out that there are other players in that list who I've just given you there. They will expect wage rises as well. So Arsenal have actually got to balance up, thinning out some dead wood. They've got to increase their commercial revenue to accommodate not only wages of the players they've got, but also of any new signings they might make in the summer, because it's done on a calendar year. So, or possibly even in January. But they can do it because the Puma deal can be renegotiated upwards, the current market rate. They could do the same with the Emirates, but they really need to get to grips by adding more partners. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest problems is that when you've got the Chinese league paying so much money for the Premiership league rights to show them on Chinese TV, and also paying such ridiculous wages to to players over there, offering massive, obscene wages to players over there. Players don't want to go there, but the fact that they're on offer, that inflates wages elsewhere. You know, and this is another issue, and Geoff will tell you the problems that this will cause between players in a team. If all of a sudden, you know, you've got your star men and someone's earning, you know, 60 or 80 grand a week and someone's earning 50 grand a week more, and then, well, yeah, okay, he's won a World Cup or he's won the Copa America, I can understand that. But when you're earning 80 grand a week and someone else is earning 3 times what you're earning, and we've got to put this into relevance here, £130,000 a week is 5 to 6 times the average wage in London. 300 grand is 10 times, 11, 12 times the average wage. So these wages need to have some relevance to what they're earning in the club. It's a catch-22 situation because the club needs stars to pick up sponsors. The club needs stars to win trophies, to get the commercial revenue up, to get the bonuses up. You know, finishing top in your Champions League group will probably get you bonuses off your sponsors. But at the same time, Arsenal got a balancing act to do here. I think Arsenal haven't done themselves any favours by leaving so many players to last. So now they've got to prioritise. Well, the priority is clearly Ozil and Alexis. Then they've got to say, OK, well, who's next? Well, OK, the Ox possibly is somebody they've got to look at. They've probably got to deal with Gibbs. But those 2 players, as long as they get decent offers, they're probably not going to leave. After those, then the question is, well, what do we do with the older players? Per, Santi, Giroud. They're all 30 or over. And then the big question is, what do you do with Jack? Do you wait for Jack to come back when he comes back from Bournemouth, see what happens? I actually think this probably is what Arsenal have done. They prioritised and they've looked at these and thought, right, these players we know will accept something within this margin. Those players who are older, we have to deal with on a case-by-case basis. Jack, let's wait and see what happens to him at Bournemouth. He's only played 5 games. But Alexis and Ozil, they want to tie him down. And Arsene Wenger's even come out today and said, you know, there's 18 months to go. There's no worry. And you know, they'll be here for 18 months and hopefully for a lot longer. So he's not writing it off. And I've seen people saying, oh, he doesn't want anybody to earn more than him. That also could be an issue, that he actually hasn't decided whether he's going to stay or not. Maybe that's why star players who like him, and if you look at the way Ozil talks about Wenger and you look at the way Sanchez looks at Wenger and seems to like his role at the club, that could also be an issue in it. So the press, you know, they have to write bollocks. They know Arsenal Twitter's massive and they know that we will click shit. That's why they write shit like Danny was talking about earlier.
Spot on, Steve. I think you're spot on there, mate.
Fuck me. I'd love to see another podcast try and do all that. Well done, Steve. That's people should write that down, have it framed and put it on the wall and then read that next time you think you're going to tweet something about the wages, because that's brilliant.
In all fairness, I don't expect anything fucking less of him. Well, you know, not being funny. If you're an imbecile like me, who doesn't understand it, fair enough. But you know what you're talking about, and you've explained it perfectly. Thank you. Well done. Good job. Geoff, give me your take on it. Give me your take on how you see this working out. Or, you know, obviously people are asking you for inside info. Well, you know, those days are long gone because you can't do that anymore. But how do you see this developing? Are you confident in them staying? Do you think, you know, there may be a chance of one of them leaving?
They've definitely been offered more money elsewhere. I promise you that. I think they definitely like London. They like playing at Arsenal. They're happy with surroundings.
Hasn't Ozil Bush bought a new house?
Yeah. I don't think that makes too much of a difference. Wasn't it? Yeah,
I think one problem, and I don't want to get all political, but I think one big problem is Brexit's effect on the pound versus the euro and the dollar is going to cause all football clubs in Britain problems, because as the pound's value decreases against the euro, it does mean it's going to cost clubs more to buy players abroad. But you see, the problem is you don't know what currency the players get paid in. If you've got a sharp agent, he might well say, well, actually, you know what? Brexit's coming up. I don't think I want this contract in pounds. I want it in euros. Arsenal are quite shifty. They do have money brokers who buy huge amounts of euros on a forward basis at fixed rates so they can use them to buy players and stuff. Maybe they do that with the wages. I don't know. But the pound is a fucking problem.
Good point. Very good point. My take on it is, like I say, I think they want to stay. It's all about it's about two things. It's about money, because how old are they now? 26, 27?
Perez was 28, isn't he?
Yeah,
28. It's maybe his last big contract. Because it'll be a 4-year contract, I reckon. I can't imagine he just signed a 2-year contract, but you never know. I think Arsenal want to try and tie him down to a 4-year contract to both of them. They're both world-class players. I don't think there's any doubt in that. I think they want to stay. It does also. I think they want assurances that Arsene Wenger is in position. They definitely like the manager, and I think they like being at the club, and they like seeing what the club's doing. Having said all that, and what Steve said about the finances at Arsenal is he's 100% right. But I'll tell you one thing now: he won't be held over a barrel, Wenger. He won't be bullied. I think there will be a ceiling he'll want to pay, because, like Steve said, if they give, I think that ceiling's about £200,000, because if they give Sanchez and Ozil 200 grand, then there's a lot of other players that will come in behind them and say, well, hold on a minute, I want 160 grand and I want 170 grand. And their players coming from 80 grand. So they're doubling their money nearly. And there's just a lot of pressure on a club like Arsenal Football Club. And now I know they're getting a lot of money in, but we're not Man City, we're not Chelsea. And
they can't do it under these current rules either. That's the problem. They would actually have to, if they bought in two £30 million players and they had to pay them 100 grand a week, they would actually have to sell a player to fuck their wages off so they could get that in under the limit. Now, I've even heard people saying, well, do we sell Ramsey? Do we sell Jack to fund Draxler? I mean, I don't agree with it, but I'm saying that's the sort of thing that they would have to do if they don't get the commercial revenue up.
And Wenger doesn't like, again, what Steve alluded to, it doesn't like paying one or two players £200,000, and you've got another very, very valuable member of the squad getting 70, 80 grand, because it's just too big. The gap's too big. He likes to close it down a little bit. He likes to try and be fair with everybody, so you don't get that. Because, if you're working, doing the same job as a man, but he's a little bit better than you, and he's getting 2 or 3 times the money than you, I don't care what you say, mate. You'd have a little bit in you that you wouldn't like it, and that's in any job. So and I don't think he wants. It's a good squad at the minute. They're all happy. They're all buzzing together. They're all believing each other, and I think he wants to keep that. So, like I said, I think there's a ceiling, and I think 200 grand is that ceiling. I do think they'll stay for that. I think he'll persuade them to stay. Especially if we can win a trophy this year, it'd be fantastic. But I think they'll both stay, and I think Wenger will stay as well, and he'll be a big part of helping them stay.
Does that include bonuses though? Will they stay like 200 grand a week and then another large amount for a win and a goal and a win in the Premier League?
All that comes into the wages budget. I mean, one of the ways you can do this is you can say to them, right, what we can do is we won't pay you wages, we'll pay you image payment rights payments, or we'll pay you promotional payments. So they may well suddenly, Alexis Sanchez might well get, to be the face of a particular Arsenal commercial partner and get paid like an extra lump of money for it, which, although it's his wages, is not in the books as his wages. Do you know what I mean? There are ways around these things, Dan.
Interesting. John, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I've got the voice of negativeness.
Come on then.
No, I think one of them will go.
Well, shout.
I think. If you had to pick between the two, more likely, I think it would actually be Sanchez. I can't see us paying both of them 200 or more, because I think they're probably going to want more than that anyway. Grand a week. I can't see us doing it. So I think one of them will leave. And the other issue as well is you can't really leave it until the summer to get them both signed, because if it gets to the summer and we haven't won the Premier League or the Champions League, I think they'll want out anyway.
They can sign pre-contracts then with the clubs, can't they?
Yeah, and that's it. And if you don't get it done before the summer and we don't win a trophy, like if we won the FA Cup, it's a trophy, and don't get me wrong, I'll celebrate it like any Arsenal fan would, but I don't think it's enough for either of them. So I think you need to win the Premier League or the Champions League to get both of them to stay anyway. But I think one of them will go. I think it's more likely it'll be Sanchez. They'll be
I'd imagine that it's only other Premier League clubs that can pay him more money, or maybe a Real Madrid
or China.
China was obviously would they can give them fortunes, but I doubt either of them would go there.
Plus, it's all tax-free over there, isn't it? Which is another.
Yeah.
Not only are they doubling what they'll get here,
I know
they're quadrupling it because there's no tax.
People talk about Bayern Munich.
They won't go to China, mate. Forget that. They're footballers, not idiots.
You don't get more money at Bayern. The highest paid player at Bayern Munich is Lewandowski, Robben, and Ribéry, and they're on about €160,000 a week.
Lewandowski's discussing a new contract now, isn't he?
Yeah, they're not going to get more money going to Germany. They certainly aren't going to get it going to Italy. I think De Rossi's still the highest paid player in Italy. So it's only if they went to another Premier League club, which I can't see us selling to, or if they go to Spain.
You say
think
that,
about
but we sold Robin Van Persie, didn't we?
I think we're in a different position than what we were before. But like Steve said, it's not just.
If you get to the summer and you ain't won anything though, and they won't sign, what do you do? So right, okay, you hold them to what? You've got no resale value. That's the problem, because you've got, whilst the Wenger might say, right, I'm not fucking selling Sanchez to Chelsea, if they offer him $400,000 a week, which Roman Abramovich could easily do. So this is one of the things Chelsea have been fucking sneaky. Now you know why they've got 1 million players on loan. It's a business that they're generating turnover out of that they can use to pay wages.
I'd call it being smart, to be honest, Steve.
Well, yeah, but it is. Of course, it's smart. We haven't been smart because we've let our commercial revenue suffer. But if it gets to that point, and Roman Abramovich says, "Well, I'll give you 50 million quid for him," and he's got a year on his contract to go, or he's going to leave on a free. What do you think Stan Kroenke's going to choose? It ain't going to be what Arsene Wenger wants.
What you got to take in consideration, though, is that let's be honest, they've only just settled down at the club now, right? They've only just settled down. They love London now. They're all settled down. It's a fantastic football club. There's no doubt about that. One of the best in the world. They've got a fantastic manager, and they're all pulling together. They're going to have to think themselves, well, hold on a minute. Do we want all this upheaval again? Going to another club, another
You can
town,
say the same thing about them when they were both in Spain, though, Geoff.
I don't know.
The biggest clubs in the world.
Yeah, but
I
think
that was pushed, wasn't they? Really?
Yeah, they were pushed out of those clubs. That wasn't their choice to leave. They were pushed. We picked them up. They're not being pushed here. This is the thing.
If you don't meet their wage demands, then they feel like they're being pushed out.
Yeah, but
exactly.
I think 200 grand would be enough to keep them, though. I really do. All right,
I just think wages are going to keep going higher and higher up, and the more Man United are going to have to bring in even more big name players and spend even more money. Conte will have a full summer to spend on big players.
This is another problem because Man United don't win stuff. Their commercial revenue is going to go down. It's not going to go up.
Yeah,
they aren't going to be able to infinitely keep spending £150 million a year, because the Glazers ain't going to want to fund that. They want to take money out of the club, not keep it in it. They want to use it as a cash generating club, so it generates profits to pay the debts off on their shitty other retail properties businesses. So they can't keep that up. The fact is that because Manchester is in the north and it's a crap hole, because they aren't winning anything, because they're in the Europa League, that's why they've got to buy big name players and pay massive wages to them to keep the commercial partners. But the commercial partners are also funding those players. There's no way on earth they would have got Pogba if they were still, if they were funded by a different shirt manufacturer. Because he belongs to them. That's the point. It can't go on forever. It's like a South Sea bubble. Eventually it will have to burst, and this is why the wage cap was brought in. It was brought in to stop clubs making irresponsible investment decisions, so that we don't end up with another Portsmouth, we don't end up with another Leeds United, and that's why they were brought in. It was also brought in to stop the likes of City, Chelsea driving wages through the roof and just completely cutting everybody else out. But the real reason behind it was the club's owners wanted all the money that they've invested in their clubs, buying them. Was one reason, was to reap the benefits of this massive growth in TV revenue and commercialism surrounding modern football. They don't want to give that to the fucking players. They want to get money back on their investment, don't they?
Will they will all the clubs adhere to it? I can't see for 1 minute United, Chelsea, and Man City adhering to.
They've got to adhere to it, Geoff, because that's the rules of the Premiership. It's been voted on and it's been accepted for the last 3 seasons.
That's why Chelsea
what's the penalty?
sell players like David Luiz. They got 50 million. That money can then go back into being spent on wages because it goes into your revenue, internal revenue for the club. Yeah. So you get a stupid amount of money for a player like that, plus his wages off the books. Then you can go and sign 3-4 players and say, well, we spread all that money out across them. So we haven't got our budget hasn't actually increased.
Okay. Yeah, and also you could look at it in another way by saying as well that they could have even offshore funded the purchase of their own sale of their own player if you wanted to be a cynical fucker.
Yeah, but what are the sanctions if those rules are broken?
Points deductions.
Are they?
The harshest. Yeah, points deductions. You can get points deductions if you break the rules on it.
Right.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. One point that was brought up earlier on that we haven't really addressed was Arsene Wenger does not want a player to be paid more than him. Now, you get at this point, there are probably people going, "Oh, the greedy fucker," blah 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 blah. This all goes back to George Graham, and numerous managers. That I think Sir Alex Ferguson
has got fuck all to do with George Graham.
No. Bear with me a second. Sir Alex Ferguson had the same rule at Man United, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure he did. But George Graham taking bangs was basically because all the players were on a hell of a lot more money than he was as the manager. As the manager, he was one of the lowest paid people on the playing staff, so to speak. And that's where the bungs came in. If he was better rewarded back then, maybe that Bungate would never have happened.
I think
it has a direct relevance. It does.
I don't think it does because I think the culture of football was massively different than as Geoff will tell you. All managers were at it then. And I remember the guy who was in charge of Blackburn, who was an ex-player, Mike someone whose name escaped me. He raised the point is he knew himself loads of managers were at it getting bungs off of agents. Yeah. Why was George Graham the only one dug out? And the reason he was dug out by the FA dominated by northern clubs was for fucking Liverpool off their perch.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But it was one of those times where the managers were not paid as much as the players. Players' wages were increasing. Ian Rush signed the first £10,000 a week deal in this country, and it went up from there. And the managers felt out, rightly so with some of them, even though it was part of the game being on for years, they felt as if, hold up, we're being left behind. Arsene Wenger is the only guy who's shown loyalty to this club. A lot of the players have left, other than Dennis and a couple of others who've seen out their careers here. He's played a massive part in this club. Do you think he has a right to demand the highest wages? He is the boss. What do you think?
Me personally, I think, no, I'm not just saying it because it's Arsene Wenger. I think every football club, I suppose, when you're at clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona, where they definitely do have the best footballers in the world, or they'll acquire them if they haven't got them right now, you might have to make one or two exceptions. But in the main, I do think, for respect, I think the manager should be the highest paid member of staff at the club, because he'll demand that respect then. If he's a good manager, he'll get good money. And, that's the way it should be. That generally happens in all walks of life, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, your boss is normally paid more than you, isn't he?
Not normally. The CEO usually earns the biggest salary, but very often the sales directors earn the most. The star striker of the company is a sales director who makes all the money. For me, I think the footballers' wages and managers' wages have got obscene. I think we can wax lyrical about the levels of their wages. I think at the end of the day, managers got to make some very difficult decisions. But I don't think the fact that he earns more or less in the dressing room gives him any more level of respect. What gives him that level of respect is his knowledge, how he deals with his players, how he is as a man manager, how he motivates his team and how he treats them. And if you want my opinion, I don't think there's any manager in the league who probably doesn't go out of his way more to be a nice man and to be a father figure and a person who tries to make his players think about what they should be doing and helps them to try and learn and develop than Arsene Wenger. Very much the opposite to Jose Mourinho, who throws, one of them under the bus every time he gives an interview. But for me, if Alexis Sanchez and Ozil are getting us into the last four of the Champions League and they're getting us into and keeping us in second place in the league, fighting for trophies, if they should get the money. And I think Arsene himself on the quiet is a bit of an egalitarian person. He doesn't need money. He's got so much money, he doesn't know what to fucking more do with it. And I don't really think he's interested or motivated by money. What interests him is his project and his love, and that's what he wants to keep doing it for. And I actually think he's the sort of guy, seriously, if Stan Kroenke came to him tomorrow and said, look, you know what, I'm really sorry, but because of this wages cap, you're going to have to take a wage cut so we can sign Julian Draxler, Wenger would actually consider it. He wouldn't say no, he'd consider it. That's the sort of bloke he is. I
don't disagree, though. It's just interesting. It's all hypothetical. We don't actually know what's going on. So we can't say for sure, yes, that's his stance, or no, it's not. 95% of the people in this who work, their boss gets paid more than them. As you say, with sales directors and stuff like that, it's a different kettle of fish. But I do agree with what you said there. Okay. That's enough for contract talk anyway. We've got to move this on. We've been going long enough. Danny, do you want to ask any more questions? Or how do you want to play this?
What we'll do, we'll just say thanks to James and Nicky Wilson and Fred Thurby and Alien Gooner. Gooner's in the USA podcast. Siddharth, Jeff Baker, Abbas and Joseph, Gregor, and Gooner's in the USA podcast again, and Kurt Ice. We've covered most of your ones, and some of the other ones we haven't got time to because it's so important. That's the major talking point at the moment is the contracts. And I think Steve has gone into more detail there than you could shake a wet fish at, which is very, very good. So we'll just move on to shout-outs and predictions for Stoke at home on Saturday and Everton away on Tuesday, because, we don't want Reverend Raj putting another contract out on us because he can't cope with the long pods.
Okay, fantastic. Right, shout-outs. Mr. Welsh, would you like to lead us with shout-outs?
Yeah, no Twitter handles. Mine's just to Kelly, Kat, Var and Gaz. They know who they are. And just thanks for all the help you've been giving me and Chris all throughout this last year.
Oh, so, fucking hell. The football hipsters again, you tosser.
Couldn't do without you guys. And Chris never says thank you. He's terrible.
He does, to be fair. I've heard him many an occasion. He's good like that. He's just got shit boots. Top bloke, shit boots. Geoff Arsenal, who's your shout-out, mate?
Ooh, you caught me there. I will, hold on 1 second, opens Twitter quickly, and I'm going to pick the first one I see. No, not him. He's a cunt and he's a troll, so he's not going to be shouted out. Okay, next one down is, the top man, Sharpie, Tony. So it's Sharpie 58, great Arsenal fan. Really good lad. He's worth a follow, Adams. Trust me.
Brilliant. Okay, that's great. Steve?
Only a shout out to our man in Northern Ireland, Davey Boyd, who's a funny fucker, constantly sending through outrageous stuff which makes you snigger during the day. You can find him at Boyd_D1. Follow him. Not one for the not safe at work or the shy of a bit of naughtiness brigade, but he's nearly as bad as Darren the Photoshop, but very funny.
I thought he left Twitter.
Oh.
Boyd.
No.
I'm sure he left. I used to follow him and he disappeared.
No, he's back again. I just told you where to find him. At Boyd_D1.
He's a top man. He's funny as hell. Danny, your shout out?
It's going to go to 114 people. I just started using Instagram, and Steve's pictures are wonderful of him wandering around Warsaw taking wonderful pictures. And there's a load of other people on there, but 114 people follow me taking pictures of my beard and my Christmas tree. So, thanks to everyone. I'm just _GFP on there, and you're not going to find anything of any interest unless you like fat blokes with badly trimmed beards.
Don't be fucking putting any Christmas tree lights in that beard, or I'm going to fucking send Davis round with a fucking shaver to remove it.
I need a blunt one as well, to be fair.
You just started using it as well, didn't you, Jace?
Don't ask. I've had to use Instagram because I was asked to by a friend. I've put one photo up, and that's going to be it. Fuck it.
Is that it?
What he means is he's stalking some minge's fucking Instagram, and that's how he's doing it.
No.
So when I put a picture in our WhatsApp groups and you lot fuck with it, like Geoff OG put one of me as one of the Ewoks walking around. I get those, and I've put a few of those on there as well.
Oh,
it's good fun.
Honestly, okay. My shout-outs this week. First one is to Jules Wheeler at The Real Gunner. It was a birthday last week. Happy birthday, Cheeky.
Birthday.
The next one is to somebody. He had a shout out last week. He did a little gif of Danny, Chris, and myself. It's Pixel Rapture. He's a top man at Pixel Rapture.
That was
hilarious. I
hilarious.
watched that before I saw that you were in the top left-hand corner giving it a little laugh. How does he do it?
It was just brilliant, to be fair. It was hilarious. Now, score lines. Danny, you go first, so we have no gerrymandering off you. Stoke,
I think we're going to beat him 3-0, and Sanchez. And then we're doing that. And the Everton one, so I do that as well?
when's the Everton game?
Tuesday.
Do you know what? The days are... Sorry, it's been one of those weeks. Oh, yeah. Do Everton as well. Go on.
Just making sure here. Yeah, Tuesday,
Sorry,
13th of December.
I've had a blank moment. Bro.
That's because you're blonde. Or are you ginger? It's one or the other. Everton are in a shit run of form at the moment. Stickleback Ecklenburg is rubbish. I reckon we're going to go there. We're going to beat them 2-0 and Ozil. There you go.
Superb. Geoff Arsenal.
2-0 Alexis for the Stoke game. I fancy 2-1. I'm going to go Alexis again for the Everton match.
Ooh, we can see
Alexis Sanchez. It's the new Giroud. That's all we can tell you, people.
Yep.
Hey, Johnny boy.
I'm going to go 4-0 against Stoke. We'll have a bit of Theo on that. And then I fancy a 3-1. Iwobi.
Ooh, Stevie boy.
3-1 against Stoke, and I fancy that'll be Alexis. And I reckon 2-1 against Everton. And I think Koscielny from a dead ball. I think fucking Lukaku will wake up and fucking score for them as well. Unfortunately, he's a great big immobile wretch.
Oh God!
Chris would high five you now if he was here.
Oh, Chris!
It's everyone that Chris has a go about that scores against us, isn't it?
Oh, he high five you in your
Cavani and
knee.
then Lukaku.
He's got a fucking horrendous hat trick. Cavani scoring an overhead kick in the fucking Champions League. Lukaku, he goes on about, who had a fucking appalling game against Man United, and then boots this week. I mean, so that's the third hat trick this week, but his one's like distinctly below. It's past the knuckle, isn't it? Really, it's really out of order.
It did make me laugh this week. I just have a pop of Chris. It's because of your boots, mate. I'm sorry, but they're shit.
He loves it. He's touching himself inappropriately.
He does.
He's naked, wearing them boots, wandering around, touching himself as he's listening to us talk about him.
He's not listening to us. He's watching Innsbruck away in the fucking Finland fucking third division.
But he turned around and said on Sunday, what a goal by Origi. I always knew he had talent. He said fuck all when he missed the sick day later on. Nothing. You know what I mean? I do love it. And poor bugger, he gets some stick, and deservedly so. Okay, Stoke at home, 5-0 to the Arsenal.
This is why you're bottom, you tit.
I couldn't give a monkeys.
Check score.
Ozil. If I pick Ozil, Sanchez scores. If I pick Sanchez, Theo scores. If I pick Theo, Ozil scores. I can't win, you know? And Everton away, 3-1, Aaron Ramsey.
Jesus. Tell you, I should do a chart of how often you predict Ramsey to score. Maybe if you stop predicting him every week, he might score a fucking goal.
Mate, it's solidarity between the boys.
Let's have a look at the prediction league table. Top of the league, 30 points.
We haven't got time for that.
Then it's Dom, then it's Chris, then it's the guests.
I ain't got time for all that old waffle, mate.
Yeah. Shut
then Carl and Shredder.
Crooked, eat that.
Hasn't somebody got their daughter waiting for him to fucking pay them attention?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to mention... obviously, we had the radio show after Basel. There's the radio show after Stoke. this week. Also, there's a blog out this week, and it is by Lucas Premium, I'm pretty sure.
Luke is quite premium. Isn't it about Man United? And how we should look out for...
It's on the evolution of Alexis Sanchez. I haven't read it yet, but if Luke's
Man United one was last week.
Yeah, Luke's blog.
The Alexis Sanchez one this week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's not forget that Danny put his Christmas tree up himself, which is pretty good act for a contortionist.
I can't even sit down properly because of that.
I'm trying to plug the fucking blog. Sit down, bitches. So Lucas Premium, the evolution of Alexis Sanchez. That's on ABW blogs. Give it a read. Steve, you can now take the piss out of Danny.
I'm just saying that he's put his Christmas tree up himself, which even by contortionist's judgment is a fair trick.
John, if you tried that, maybe you'd have a better beard.
That's one of my favourite sexual positions, mate.
The Christmas tree.
The balls. Hang your balls on that.
This has descended into an absolute fuckfest. Once again, listeners, thank you very much for listening. As you can tell, it's just 5 idiots chatting shit without due to themselves. It's still 5 idiots chatting shit, but we're lucky enough you guys listen and hopefully enjoy what we do. Thank you very much. God save the Arsenal. Let's hope we continue to score some goals on Saturday and Tuesday and put the Northerners in their place. God save the Arsenal. Take care. Good night. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night, all.
Oh, here we go. Oh, we're here.
Well, it's all fixed now. I'll see you in a minute, Geoff.
Right, cheers, Dano.
Oh, hello, Geoff. There you are.
Oh, hello, Dan. How you doing? You all right?
Fucking, you're not one with technology, are you?
You know what? It's a fucking. I can't. If Wilder, right, was on the case for our predictions league, mate, you'd be well nicked by now, wouldn't you? Because you can't go from being bottom of the league 2 years on the spin to top of the league, mate.
So the thing is, all of mine are all do them live on the shows, don't I? So I can't cheat. Then the only one I've changed is the one this week when I put it in the podcast news bit. Saying
he did say 4-1 as well.
Did you?
And the only reason I said 4-1, I was going to go 3-0, but Jason picked 3-0. I thought, fuck it, I'll go 4-1.
Fucking blinding, mate. Good luck to you.
The scorer as well, didn't you?
No, I've never done that.
I did it on the first day of the season. I got the scorer and the result. Yeah. So I've just been shit ever since.
It does give you a leg start, mate. I got it a couple of times last season. It's all good though. But Dan, I'd say there's nothing to give me more pleasure to see you pick up the trophy, mate. I'm telling you.
They'll nobble it so I don't win.
I reckon that's true. Who's that? Welsh?
Hello. The Welsh is here. The other one.
I hope you fucking combed your beard out, Welsh.
It's still there, mate.
He's looking well, the kid. Don't worry about that.
Oh, that's an old one. That's a baby.
It's an old smudge, isn't it? That one. That's right.
Oh, that is an old one, mate.
I got accused of having a shit beard today. That's because I hadn't brushed it.
Accused of having a shit in your beard.
I did. I've only just brushed it.
Steve.
Yeah.
Stevie, what's the weather like in Polski?
Snow.
Oh, fuck. Is it cold or?
No, not mental. It's about -4 today.
Okay.
We'd all be dead over here if it was -4.
I love a bit of cold weather.
It's fucking awful.
Yeah.
It's not naughty yet, Geoff.
No?
It hasn't got naughty for the last 2 or 3 years. We had a bit of -16 last year.
Fucking hell.
Does that include wind chill?
No. At night last year I was coming back from the pub at about -19 last year. But we went in there to watch the derby, and because I don't drink now, you see, so I thought if we beat them, I'll have a drink. So of course we've got a draw. So I thought, fuck it, I'll have one anyway. I was coming back. It was minus 19, and then when I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning, it was minus 25.
Fucking hell.
But I mean, that's. I mean, I've actually been out fishing in minus 15 at night.
Fuck that, mate. 2 taters for me, mate. How can you feel your hands and all that?
But the thing is, do you dress for it, Geoff? That's the point, you know. I mean, I've got like I have to do a lot of walking between all my meetings.
Yeah.
So I've got like rubber sole boots, proper, you know, Arctic 5-season thermal socks, leggings, long sleeve t-shirts, gloves, hat and scarf. And you just have layers, you know, and I've got a fucking great big aquascutum alpaca ankle length coat, and it keeps me well warm. The only thing is you have to wear a snood to keep your boat.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up looking like Sir Alex Ferguson.
No, it's right. The red boat, doesn't it?
Yeah. The worst I've experienced that is minus 39.
Yeah. Do you have sun out there as well while it's thingy, or not at all?
Yeah, no, we do. Yeah, you get really clear blue skies.
That's
really,
lovely.
You get a lot of sun. Really, the problem is we've had a lot of smog this year.
You got any skiing results over there, Steve?
Yeah, there are.
Any good? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good, cheap as well.
Really? That's interesting. I love skiing, mate.
I'll DM you some links.
I love skiing. I'm telling you, love it.
I'll tell you what you can do. You can fly from Luton to Krakow.
Yeah.
And then you can go from Krakow. I think they come and pick you up, and you can go to Zakopane, which is up in the mountains. It's a village at the foot of the Carpathians.
Yeah.
And you can go there and stay in like a 5-star mental hotel.
Yeah.
And they've got the slopes. You just go up on the slopes in the day. They've got the guides there. You can hire ski gear, skis, the whole fucking lot.
Send me the links. I'll have to have a look at that, mate. I fancy that for me life. I love it.
Yeah, and the other thing is there's another one called the Mercure, and they've got their own. They've even got their own ski slopes.
Gotcha.
Oh, here he is, the Messiah.
Oh,
is that Welshman?
He's
Nice
not
to
the
turn
Messiah,
up.
he's a naughty fucking cunt.
Boys,